What's your name? Oh, it's great to be. We have no doubt enough.
Hey you! Are you someone tired of putting thought into playing a mobile game? Is this you? Do you feel like a chump pressing a few buttons on the screen? Well, let me tell you, I got the solution for you. I can get you the Tusken Warrior. Why waste time trying to figure out the battle when they just win themselves? Dr. Aphra and Starkiller annoying you? No problem. For everyone who likes this video and for the convenient 6 monthly payments of $350, this baby can be all yours. And that's a guarantee.
6 month $350 payment is only approved upon credit. Capital reduction fee of $15,000 does not include gear, relics, Zetas, Omicrons, credits. You're not liable for mobile gaming addiction. This is not a scam.
Welcome to my lair, everyone, where I, the king of mobile games, in the palm of my hand, can create my own champions to play with. And I'm talking about today's sponsors, Bloodline! Bloodline Heroes of Lithius is one of the most unique hero collector RPG games that's on the market. It's got great 3D graphics, and you can build your own kingdom, collect your champions, and even breed your champions together to create new ones. Combine different styles into one. Take them into game modes like the Guild War. New bloodlines and legendary hybrids are added constantly, which means there's an endless amount of possibilities for your creativity to flourish. Download this game for the link down below or my QR code, and you'll get yourself a free starter pack worth over $20. And on top of that, the first 20 players who leave their in-game account ID and username in the comment section below will receive a free Legendary Female Orc Champion, Ugrull, one of the best warriors for you to carry in the game. The Tusken Warrior, ladies and gentlemen, is the newest and hottest character to come to the holotable in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. In this video, we're going to summarize all the fun testing we did the other day. Thank you for everyone who came by. Always a ton of fun, and the Tusken faction keeps on impressing, baby. This team, if you're going up against turn meter heavy teams, they just sit there and win without you doing anything. It's the newer and improved version of the Jawas, and heck, we even sometimes combine the Tuskens and Jawas, and my gosh, is that an unholy alliance right there. Tusken Warriors bringing three main things in my opinion. Thing number one, more damage. Before you're just relying on the damage over time from the Tusken Chiefs and lead, now we're going to have a bit more damage to do some finishing blows and expedite things a little bit quickly if you feel like the damage over time is taking a little longer than you would like. Also, the other thing, arguably probably the more important thing, is the massive buff dispel. It's a single target ability that dispels all the buffs on the field, very much so like Supreme Leader Colorado. However, this ability can technically be evaded, so the buff dispel doesn't happen. A little weird, but it makes sense. The third main thing, and arguably probably the more important thing, is now that you're adding a fifth Tusken to the team finally, you have a lot more momentum opportunities, meaning a lot more stun opportunities, and a lot more damage over time capabilities, and that's really what the core of all this team is about. All of these factors combined mean that the stuff we were able to do before Tusken Warrior is now even easier, and now we're able to finally take on teams that they had a bit of a hard time before Tusken Warrior came. I'm talking like Beskar Mandalorian. It was hard to win because they had a cleanse on IG-11. We couldn't get around the taunt. There was no buff dispel. There was no damage. And it's even starting to look like this might be something semi-consistent up against Starkiller and even Dr. Aphra, because they have lots of turn meter depending on what variant and composition you run. Basically, to keep this very short and simple, the one thing to ask yourself, is the team you're fighting against a turn meter heavy team? Or if you're going to fight the Tuskens, this is going to be a team I think people are going to underestimate, and they're going to go in thinking they can just run of Commander Luke Skywalker, run of Palpatine, Imperial Troopers. Nuh-uh. If there's anything that's turn meter related, whether you're going against Tuskens or you're using Tuskens to fight something, if they're turn meter heavy, Tuskens basically are guaranteed to win. Let's talk a little bit more about the specifics of Tusken Warrior. Number one, the damage is a big deal. It's almost like Nihilus sometimes, but it's a little bit more than Savage. It's somewhere between a Savage and Nihilus. It's not quite a guaranteed insta-kill, but it's not quite the overpowered mechanism that Savage has. It's somewhere in between the two, where when you have a lot of momentum, there's lots of damage over time to ramp up her offense. She at times can one-shot lots of fools out there, and it's very satisfying to see that. When there's 15 stacks or more of momentum, which isn't hard, especially when you're going up against a turn meter heavy team, she's going to deal additional damage, and she's going to deal massive damage, 99,000, to an enemy which can't be countered, and the more important thing, can't be evaded. So if there is foresight, boom, she's popping through that. And in the situation, you're having a hard time because there's not a lot of turn meter. She has ways of granting momentum to the rest of the team with Tusken Charge. While she's buff dispelling, she can grant 5 stacks momentum. And I think the good thing is on top of this, with her Centuries of Tradition, when she falls below 10 stacks of momentum, she's going to regain 10 stacks of momentum again, ensuring that when she does use Finishing Strike, she's going to make a good hit. But more importantly, when you have 10 stacks of momentum with Tusken Chieftain, you're guaranteed to stun and get those damage over time. So she's going to be kind of an annoying cookie. When you're trying to get the momentum off her, she's going to get it back and hit you with the stun and damage over times again. Where the Tuskens start falling a little bit short is against teams that are not turn meter heavy. Doesn't seem like they're going to have any sort of realm of possibility in the Galactic Legends. Maybe Datacrons will alter that, of course, or maybe even the Omicrons. We'll have to wait and see. And things like the Sith Trumpet, because they can cleanse the damage over times and stuns. All the momentum does nothing to them. We're also talking about General Anakin Skywalker, Darth Revan. Those teams are going to be fine going up against us. But even so, when you think of the myriad amount of teams in this game that are turn meter reliant, it's kind of a lot. General Grievous, Phasma, Imperial Troopers, Commander Luke Skywalker, Emperor Palpatine, Starkiller, Dr. Aphra, Sana Staros, Rebel Fighters, Geonosians. The list goes on and on and on and on. So what this team is really doing, as we kind of mentioned the Tusken Chiefs interview, it's not quite a Kenobi where Kenobi or Profundity are the end-all be-all. There's no turn meter. That's the ultimate turn meter control. This team is kind of the second best thing, where it's kind of putting something that's largely unchecked in the game, and that's turn meter. And there are way too many teams that rely on massive turn meter gains. And that's why this team seems so darn powerful in this present meta, is because most teams have that turn meter. On top of all that, obviously this team's going to have a comfortable place in the meta and Territory Wars Grand Arena, just because they're starting to become a really good competitive team. But keep in mind, this team's going to be a lot more important down there. We know this team's going to be needed for the Crate Dragon raid. They're going to be adding it to the Inquisitor Assault Battle. They're going to have galactic challenges and conquest feats for them. This is a team that, although it's great, I'm loving this. I'm loving it more than Inquisitors. It's also funny, they even beat Inquisitors. This team is a much different pace than it was for Inquisitors last year. People are actually enjoying the Tuskens getting love. There's characters in this faction that you're already probably geared up for Jabba, Lord Vader requirements, and they're going to be needed for other stuff. So this is one of those situations, unlike Inquisitors, where the team's actually good, people actually like using them, and they're also just important as a side effect of the things that are going to be needed in the game. So I want to talk about the Zetas required for this team. Now that we have the full team, maybe they'll add some more stuff down the road. Some people said this team needs a tank. I actually don't think this team needs a tank, and I don't want a tank. One, the team is already very durable with momentum. Secondly, if you had a tank that's haunted, that means if you're just targeting one Tusken, you can't trigger the momentum. You want the enemies targeting people with momentum, because that's how they get stunned and damaged over time. So I think this team might just be complete. Maybe they'll add some other stuff, but truly, this team in total has 4 Zetas. 2, I think, are only needed. The most important one is going to be on that Tusken Chieftain lead. With that Tusken Chieftain lead, you want to throw on that Zeta. That's basically like, think of it like that's the Veer Zeta. The Veer Zeta is needed to run the Imperial Troopers. If you don't have the Zeta on the Tusken Chieftain, everything you're seeing here today does not work. You need to get the momentum, which translates into stun and damage over time when Tuskens are being targeted. That is needed. There is no negotiation around it. The other minimum required Zeta, I think, if you want to put into this team, is going to be the Finishing Strikes on the Tusken Warrior, which gives you the opportunity to have that Savage, Nihilus, whatever insta-kill sort of type of damage. And then mods. Again, initial impressions, I'm thinking we want to do something of offense-based mods, since you want to get as much damage as possible on her special abilities. So I just kind of loaded her up with offense sets across the board. Crit damage might also be nice here. But I think what's really important is the turn order on the Tuskens. The turn order likely is going to be Tusken Chieftain first, because they're extremely fast. Then you're going to want Tusken Warrior to try to go second, so they can maybe buff dispel anything out of the way. And I'm thinking you're going to want to get to go third, because they have a turn meter ability, 100% turn meter to the Tuskens, and that way you can try to get Tusken Warrior to get a follow-up turn and then use the massive special ability to maybe try to kill someone off as fast as possible. But again, with this team, the magic with this team is for most of the battles that they're good at, that are turn meter heavy teams, you're not really doing much. You're just sitting there and just letting the enemy die off because they're getting way too much turn meter. Once you're going up against non-turn meter reliant teams, it's not a great matchup for them. That's where they kind of start falling apart. Still, nonetheless, with turn meter is such a prevalent thing, not just even in Grand Arena territories, even in Conquest. We were throwing this team in Conquest, and there's so many teams in Conquest that have just so much turn meter. They just loop you. This has been a ton of fun. So while they're trying to loop you, they can't kill you because with momentum, you're increasing the durability of your team. And eventually they're going to get stuns, damage over times. They're done for. So I just want to emphasize that although we're focusing mostly on Grand Arena territory, meta type of things, raids, they're going to be needed for Crate Dragon Raid. They're going to be needed for Assault Battles, Galactic Challenges, Conquest. But even in Conquest itself, in terms of just winning the actual battles, and it's a nice quality of life team to help you get through an annoying Terminator heavy team. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today on our initial review of the Tusken Warrior. The Tuskens are turning out to be a lot of fun. Meme team turned into dream team, and I only am looking forward to what they're going to do in the future. So as always, leave that like, comment down below on your thoughts on this faction. Be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember that it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.